All right, thanks a lot, Jess. We're excited to have you on the show. We're really excited about Old Republic, and this E3 was just as big as it's ever been for the game. To kick things off, you guys released a brand new trailer, but then at the press conference, you also announced a few new things that are brand new to the universe of Old Republic. Maybe you can take us through some of those things you guys talked about.
Sure. So this is our second E3, and we wanted a chance to talk about some of the new features in our game. Because we're a massively multiplayer game, we have dozens, hundreds of features. So these are, not the last announcement we're going to make, but Star Wars has a whole bunch of different themes, and one of the most important themes of Star Wars is conflict, and that's why it's called Star Wars. So one of the things we're talking about is war zones, which is a chance for players to do PvP combat. For those not familiar with that kind of terminology, that's player versus player conflict. And what Warzones allows for is for Imperial characters to face off against Republic characters in a zone where they have to compete for basically an objective and try to beat the other side. So it's really exciting. It showcases our combat at its best. As you can see behind there, you have like lightsabers versus blasters. And no game has really shown that before, having all the troopers and bounty hunters and Jedi and Sith all fighting at the same time. And it gets really chaotic. It's going to be a lot of fun. So that's one of the things. The other thing we're talking about, obviously, Star Wars, talking about the wars. Now there's the Star, like everyone wants their own starship. So we've been being asked about that a lot. And so at this E3, we revealed that, yes, every player is going to get his own starship. It's kind of like a home base for him, almost like some MMO players would refer to it as player housing. It's a chance for him to own his own little place that he can return to. It's kind of a social hub. He can have his companion characters there. Star Wars The Old Republic has companion characters, much like every other BioWare game has in the past. So we can store those there, and obviously he also uses it to travel the galaxy. There's also other elements to the player starship, which I can't talk about right now because it's part of those many features that we're not talking about yet, but we will in the future.
Sure. Well, that's good to hear. I mean, everybody knows that this is going to have a great storyline and it's going to have great mythology, but it seems a lot like this year you're focusing on the combat and the interaction of players between players.
Yeah, one of the things we wanted to try to get across at this E3, there's been some consternation about the fact that we're so focused on story. Are they really going to be an MMO, or are they going to be just a BioWare game with a whole bunch of multiplayer? And we are truly an MMO. We are a combination of the storytelling of BioWare with that huge online world where you can adventure with thousands of players all at the same time. Some people think that's a very difficult thing to mix, but I don't really understand the fear because MMORPGs have always been about RPGs, and RPG storytelling is integral to it. So all we're doing is really taking the MMO genre and layering in that BioWare storytelling that really people haven't seen yet in the MMO space.
Well, you've sold me on it. With the introduction of starships and PvP, it sounds like you guys are going to hit all the right notes on this one. I want to thank you for having you on the show, and we're going to kick it back out to Jess.
Thanks.
That looks awesome! I'm so stoked! Always good to see the Jedi's back in action. Thanks for the look, guys. Up next, we have the new Need for Speed game that's actually made by the guys who made Burnout.